So what's the deal with Alzheimer's disease? Is there some natural thing we can do to help prevent and or possibly better yet, help reverse the progression of the disease process, especially if we happen to know a loved one who is affected by the condition? Now, yes, there are many natural solutions to all kinds of problems that can go wrong with our body. Now, just to jump to the caveat here, let's get to the chase. In order to do that, we have to restore our brain's sensitivity to insulin. Now, the obvious question is why? What in the world does Alzheimer's disease have to do with insulin? Well, as it turns out, everything. So let's break it down. Basically, if you happen to know anybody who is suffering from Alzheimer's disease, they're going to have several physiological manifestations going on in their brain that's interfering with the normal functioning of their neurochemistry. Basically, what? Well, let's break it down even further. So that individual is going to have a greater accumulation of this stuff we call beta-amyloid plaque. Not cool. It causes inflammation. It's number one. Number two, that individual is going to have this misfolded, entangled protein called tau inside of their neurons. Not cool. That causes inflammation and obviously interferes with the proper functioning of that neuron. Number three, that individual is going to have a reduced ability to manufacture a fundamentally important neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. And all of this stuff, as I briefly said, causes inflammation. And guess what's attracted to inflammation? Our immune system. So our immune system shows up on the scene and it says, whoa, we got all this like random plaquing going on, and what in the heck is going on with our tau protein? Why is it so entangled? And where in the heck is our acetylcholine, that neurotransmitter? You know what? Let's just nuke the place and start over from scratch. Our immune system increases the overall net inflammation. Basically, if a healthy brain looks like this, it's got all these nice, interesting neuronal connections. Basically, when you get neurodegenerations, these healthy connections go whoop, they disappear. And so too does our memory with it. Now, I said insulin is intimately involved in all of this. So let's break it down. Why? So in a healthy brain, we have many receptor sites for insulin, or by extension, IGF-1, this insulin-like growth factor. Growth factor plays a very, very important role in monitoring and controlling three very, very important enzymes, which are what? Okay, so basically, in a healthy brain, when it is stimulated by IGF-1, that insulin-like growth factor, our brain produces that very, very important neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. So if there is no IGF-1 stimulation, guess what? Our brain isn't going to manufacture that neurotransmitter. Not only that, but there's another enzyme that IGF-1 keeps in check. And this enzyme, its job is to break down acetylcholine, that very fundamental neurotransmitter. So just real quick, no IGF-1 stimulation means our brain is not going to manufacture those neurotransmitters. Not only that, but no IGF-1 stimulation means an enzyme isn't going to be kept in check, whose job it is to break down our acetylcholine, that fundamental neurotransmitter. So it is a lose-lose situation. Now, furthermore, no IGF-1 stimulation causes another enzyme to start increasing in quantity, and this guy, it's actually called glycogen synthase kinase 3. Such a long name. Anyway, so this enzyme starts increasing in quantity, and guess what it does? It starts causing our tau proteins in our neurons to misfold and become entangled, which creates that further inflammatory process. So not only are we not going to have any neurotransmitter or that acetylcholine, that neurotransmitter going on in our brain, but we're also going to have those tau proteins start to become entangled in our neurons. And at this point, our brain is just kind of shot. Our memory is already going to be going out the window. And in particular, in this spot of our brain, it's called the hippocampus, and it's responsible for consolidating like declarative type information. What's that? Well, basically, our ability to recall and calculate numbers, dates, facts, figures, put together bits and pieces of data, such as like knowing what decade it is now. And so the question is, why would we not have any IGF-1 stimulation? Why are we not getting stimulated with that growth hormone? Now, the obvious answer is, well, we don't have receptor sites for it. Okay, next question. Why the hell not? Where are our receptor sites? I mean, it's kind of important. Well, basically, to keep it simple, we don't have the receptor sites for it because through diet and lifestyle, we have had inconsistent blood sugar level for about 20 years. Or rather, more specifically, blood sugar spikes for about 20 years. So basically, when our blood sugar goes like this, that's one of the most irritating things for our nervous system. It likes a steady state, a flat blood sugar level. And basically, when our blood sugar rises, so too does our insulin level rise. And then, as a result, so too does that insulin-like growth factor. And this is the key here. Remember, this is a growth factor. It can be potentially life-saving, but also threatening to life because it causes physiological changes to occur in your body. This has got to be kept in check. So, and partly, like as a defense mechanism, your body will say, whoa, we got a lot of this IGF-1 stimulation going on, and it's not really in tune, in harmony with the rest of our body. So you know what? To protect ourselves, we're going to take those receptor sites for it, and we're going to like cut them in half. So, you know, maybe instead of having like 10 receptor sites for it, we're only going to have 5. And that just simply is not enough room for IGF-1 stimulation to keep these 3 enzymes in check. Now, remember, our body is going to reduce those receptor sites in response to sugar. So in the meantime, not only are we not going to be stimulated to produce acetylcholine, and not only are we going to be keeping those other 2 enzymes in check, the one that breaks down acetylcholine, that fundamental neurotransmitter, and that other enzyme that will cause those misfolding tau proteins, but remember, we have this heightened blood sugar. We have this being active in our body. And as a response to that, to shield ourselves from that, because it's just a chronically high blood sugar level that is irritating our body, and it's kind of like it's a unique number to all of us. Yes, we say, okay, to be at our mental best, we've understood we need a blood sugar level around 100, but those inconsistent spikes of up and down is unique to you and me, and each body has its own set point. So in any case, that hyperglycemic moment that you're having causes your brain to start producing that amyloid beta plaque. It starts to, it stimulates your brain to accumulate that junk. And so you got this misfolded protein tau in your brain and the accumulation of this beta-amyloid plaque, which causes our immune system to waken up or to become alive and go head straight for our brain to release those pro-oxidant chemicals. Now, how do we fix this? This is like a mess. What in the world can we do? Well, there's many solutions, as I said before. So let's just break it down really simple. There actually are many natural supplements that can help stimulate our brain to put it back on track. Starting with, I guess, supplement number 1, Rhodiola. It is fundamentally awesome. It's almost like this herb was specifically designed for our brain. It does 3 well, it does more than that, but I want to focus on 3 really cool characteristics of rhodiola. So rhodiola has this interesting compound in it. It's called salidroside, and it has an affinity to be attracted to our hippocampus, that place in our brain that's responsible for numbers, dates, facts, figures, and it activates stem cells in that part of our brain. So that salidroside in rhodiola goes to our hippocampus and it starts stimulating, nourishing our hippocampus, beckoning out, hey, I need you to start producing these stem cells. You're going to like it, trust me. And so that's what happens. So rhodiola is awesome for that. Now, furthermore, rhodiola helps to resensitize our body to insulin, which is fundamentally important. Remember, we need that insulin sensitivity. We need those receptor sites so our body can be activated through insulin-like growth factors to start making that fundamental neurotransmitter acetylcholine and keep those other two enzymes in check. Furthermore, rhodiola helps keep this stress hormone called cortisol in check. Now, real quick, I love cortisol. I'm using cortisol right now to produce this video. We use cortisol to get stuff done in the world. It's fundamentally important. It's an excellent molecule for our body. However, if we live on cortisol in a stress state all the time, if we just have all kinds of social, emotional, physiological stressors that cause a release of that cortisol level, it's not good in the long run. And one of the reasons why it's not good is because it causes our blood sugars to rise in our body. And remember, as our blood sugars rise, eventually that will lead to the desensitization of our body to insulin, which is the key here, which is what we want to fix. So rhodiola can just kind of help address and support these three major areas. Now, moving right along, there's another herb. It's called Shilajit, and it's fundamentally awesome. I want to focus on two things. So Shilajit resin has this fulvic acid in it, and fulvic acid has an affinity to bind with that beta-amyloid plaque in our brain, and it helps us to eliminate it faster than we would otherwise, which is awesome. So remember, we want neurogenesis. We want new brain cells to grow, but we got to get rid of that crap in our head before that process is going to happen, or to help support that process. Furthermore, Shilajit happens to have this really cool compound in it called an anthraquinone. And these anthraquinones love tau proteins. I mean, they are just, a tau protein is like a magnet for those anthraquinones. So it shows up and it says, whoa, look at that tau protein. It is folded like the Brooklyn Bridge. What in the world is going on? That is awesome. But you know what? I like something better. I love a straight one, so let me do that. And that's what happens. It's totally cool. So it helps support overall healthy functioning of our brain on multiple levels. Now, moving right along. So there's another wonderful herb. It's called black cumin seed oil. It's awesome for three areas. Well, it's awesome for a lot more than that, but I'm going to focus on three real quick. Okay, so black cumin seed oil, first of all, helps to resensitize our body to insulin, which again is key here. It's fundamental. We need it. Number two, it helps support our natural production of acetylcholine, that fundamental neurotransmitter. And number three, black cumin oil activates an epigenetic pathway called NRF2. Basically, remember, we have a lot of inflammation going on in our brain. We need to reduce that. We need to mitigate that as much as possible. And our body has the ability to make these really, really cool antioxidant enzymes like glutathione, superoxide dismutase, catalase. These are fundamentally important for reducing overall body-wide inflammation. Now, if it isn't already obvious and apparent, it's important for that individual who's suffering under the condition to eat no sugar, no hidden sugars. You know, we want to follow a diet that is low on the glycemic index and low on the insulin index. Now, last but not least, you can't talk about a healthy brain without mentioning those long-chain omega-3 fatty acids, especially DHA. Basically, 1/3 of our brain is DHA, and those healthy animal fats, cod, the herring, sockeye salmon, which is very delicious. I love sockeye salmon. The sardines. Get those healthy fish oil, the krill oil, awesome. Anyway, I hope this video wasn't too complicated with its terminology, and I wish you all the success. If you do know somebody who is suffering under the condition, share this video with their doctor or their natural healthcare practitioner to help support you guys on your healing pathway. And again, I wish you all the success in the world, and cheers.